grades, and I didn't get the good grades, and they went to visit, and I didn't get to go. The problem was I was 11 years old, and I was staying home by myself.
Oh, my.
And I remember that there was a day that they were gone over that weekend, and I heard somebody knocking on the front door, and we had this diamond-shaped mirror in the door, or window in the door that you could see out, and I saw an adult man, and he was pointing towards the doorknob, and he was mouthing the words, "Open the door." And I was terrified.
I bet you
Ran
were.
back into my room, and eventually the knocking stopped. But as you can imagine, that was a pretty uncomfortable night. Slept with every light in the house on.
By yourself.
And by myself. And that created a sense in me of worthlessness. Because I knew that other kids, their parents didn't leave them. And I figured that there must be a reason that my parents did. And it was because I wasn't worth it. I grew up feeling that way. I grew up feeling extraordinarily ugly. I grew up feeling extraordinarily isolated. And I got into my teenage years, and I found the same thing was going on at school. I was fearful. I was always fearful of just about everything. And I remember in my 20s, I was so isolated. And I felt different from everybody. I felt like I thought a lot, that I internally thought a lot, and I analyzed everything, and it was almost like a torture that I had to live inside that head. When I got to be about 26, 27 years old, I did a segment on the air that got the attention of Howard Stern. He flew me out to New York, and I think that that's where the bait was really being set for me. And what I mean by that is it was the beginning of me really having a false sense of self. I thought that I was...
That's so that's so easy to come by in our business and TV and radio and anything where it's about you. Sometimes we can take ourselves too seriously, and that's a deadly trap, isn't it?
Yeah, and I felt like that. I felt that I was... I felt that all the things that people were saying about me were true. And I hadn't been humbled. I had a fancy car. I had a lot of money. Like you said in the opening, I was hanging out with rock stars. I was living a pretty fast life. I did just about everything to fill a God-shaped hole in my heart. I was trying to fill it with everything you could think of. I tried filling it with alcohol, cocaine, methamphetamine. I did just about everything.
And all this time, you're still able to hold down a job.
I'm still able to hold down a job.
A good job.
A great job. A great job. In about 2003, going into 2004, I was laying in bed one night, and I knew I was going to die. At that point, I was certifiably an alcoholic. I'd wake up in the morning and I couldn't stop shaking until I had a drink. I would sometimes drink through the entire day.
From the second you woke up.
From the time I woke up, I would drink. I would throw up. I'd go back and drink more. I was going to bed on sleeping pills. I was a complete wreck, and I was smoking a pack a day, and I knew that I was, my body was starting to show signs of damage from it. I had a problem with my esophagus. I was starting to burn my esophagus from drinking so much vodka. And I was laying in bed, and I was looking at the ceiling, and I started crying, only it wasn't the kind of crying with sound. It was just tears rolling down the side of my face and pooling up in my ears. And I looked up at the ceiling, and I just asked Jesus to save me, to rescue me, because I was just a pitiful mess And over the course of the next few years, he started to restore my life, and he started to restore a sense of faith. You know, I went on for many years with amazing success because I was trying to put God first in everything that I did. The past couple of years have been the toughest of my life.
And that, as mostly being clean.
You know, that's definitely been a hard thing for me to do. However, I had the Lord. The Lord was playing such a part of my life. But over the past 2 years, it's been really tough. But over the last 5 years, it's been even tougher. You know, I remember one week that was pretty bad. My son was diagnosed with autism on a Tuesday. And the very next day, my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
Oh, my goodness.
And then just a few months after that, my dad found out that he had cancer. The week was tough. Those months were tough. I went into the last couple of years feeling like I was kind of punched around, but I was keeping my head up.
Mm-hmm.
And then things just started to go south. You know, I had a new radio show, did very good at the beginning. Then it started to not do very good. I lost a dear friend, died of a heart attack at the age of 42. I had my car broken into. I had a stalker. That was pretty tough.
And that wasn't your average stalker. I mean, it wasn't just someone writing you a note or bothering you. It was a lot more than that.
Yeah, it was a lot more than that. A restraining order was served. Broke the restraining order. Went to jail for 40 days. My marriage was not doing as good as it's done. And, you know, after a little while, I was just mentally starting to break down. I just couldn't stand up under the pressure. It was so much. And I had to take time for myself to go seek treatment.
Because
and I was in treatment for 90 days.
So you'd been clean, you were still working, and you were going through all of these other crises, and then you started using again after like 7 or 8 years? Is that?
Started using again after 7, 8 years. This is a really tough time.
Yeah.
Went and sought treatment.
And that was recent?
Yes. But there was there was also the issue of depression. Some pretty heavy depression.
Mm-hmm.
The good news is that I'm still here.
And you're clean again.
I'm clean.
And your marriage is doing well.
It's been completely restored.
Oh, that's awesome.
My son is healthy. My sons are healthy. I got twin boys that are 2. I have amazing listeners that are like family. And I'm blessed beyond measure. And our Lord is powerful and has pulled me out of the deepest depths of depression. And I think that what I want to share with everybody more than anything is that if He did that for me, He can do that for you. That's my story. Nobody can take that away. And He can do that for you. No matter who you are, no matter how bad it is, it can always be worse. And God's willing to save you from any of that stuff. Matthew 11:28 says, "Hey, listen, if it's too heavy for you, give it to me. I can handle it."
Yeah, I think,
and that's completely true.
I think pain is a very powerful motivator, and you know a lot about my background, and I won't go into all of that today by any means, but I think that's why I wanted to do this show for people like you and me and the people, someone listening right now who may be going through that, or maybe they're in the midst of addiction right now. I have a brother, I told you that I don't know where he is. He's homeless somewhere in LA. I hope he's still alive, but I don't know, and he's a meth addict as well. And I just want people to get this message of hope and healing and inspiration. And we're going to take a break, but Mike's going to stay
Angie,
with us.
I want to share this too.
Okay.
I just want to say this. If I didn't have the Lord in my life, I would be dead.
I think you're right.
It's 100% true. I know that beyond anything. I'm alive because of the Lord. Mm-hmm. There's no two ways about it. Mm-hmm. I should have gotten many car accidents. I should have gotten beaten up. There are so many reasons that I shouldn't be here. But the reason that I'm still here is to be able to carry that good news to anybody willing to listen.
Mm-hmm. And had you prior to, I wanted someone to ask, well, you know what, I'm going to ask this after the break. I want to know, had you prior to asking for help and being, accepting that help through the Lord, had you ever had any interaction with church, et cetera, before? You don't have to answer that yet. We'll come back. And I also want to tell people that they can call in to talk to us, you specifically. I'm sure you have a lot of your fans who want to call in. And the question I'm asking people is, have you also overcome something or seen someone that you love maybe overcome something? How did they do it? And maybe you want to ask Mike a little bit about how, you may want some of his inside secrets of how he did it, because he obviously did stumble again and then completely recovered again, and this time rather quickly. The number is 303-477-2473, and today our guest is Mike Esparza from The Mikey Show, a 25-year radio vet who partied like a rock star and is still alive to tell his story. We'll be right back. Thanks, Mike.
You are listening to The Good News with Angie Austin on 810 KLVZ. Join the program by calling 303-477-2473.
Do you have a loved one in prison or jail? Maybe you're just curious about what really happens inside those prison walls. Then make sure you tune in to Unchained Angels every Tuesday and Thursday at 5 p.m. on KLVZ. My name is Matt Sowash, and I'm the host of this show, along with Skip Starr and Clarence Jones. We're three guys who have actually served time behind those walls. So listen in on Tuesday and Thursday at 5 p.m. to ask your questions about...
I can come out there if you want. Mike, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Mike, can you hear me?
I can.
Mike, can you hear me? Mike, can you hear me? Mike, can you hear me? I'll come out there and talk to him.